This time we will explore one of the most fascinating and enigmatic stories in human history, Gog and Magog. Who are they? Where did they come from? And what was their relationship with the prophet Noah? In the Islamic tradition, Gog and Magog are two tribes known as beings who will appear in the last days, bringing destruction and chaos. However, did you know that they have deep roots in history, connected to the prophet Noah and the great event of the flood that changed the world? In this video, we'll discuss descendants of the prophet Noah, tracing their footsteps and how they connected to this great story. The origins of Gog and Magog, exploring their stories in historical and religious contexts. Signs of the emergence of Gog and Magog, what the scriptures say, and prophecies about their coming in the last days. Until the destruction of Ya'juj and Ma'juj, according to the existing stories and hadiths. Let's take a look together to unravel the mystery that has been the subject of debate and speculation for centuries. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate notifications so you don't miss out on other interesting stories. This story begins with a large ship that transported the prophet Noah and his people. In Islam, Prophet Noah is one of the 5 prophets of Ulul Azmi. He was ordered to remind his people who were then adhering to paganism by worshiping the idols of Suwa, Ya'juj, Ya'uq, and Nashr to worship Allah. Prophet Noah's dawah was aimed at the Banu Rasib to convey the teachings of monotheism. During his prophetic period, Prophet Noah only gained approximately 70 followers and 8 members of his family. According to a number of studies, the Prophet Noah's Ark is estimated to have been built around 3465 BC. Some other experts argue that the Prophet Noah's Ark was built in a place called Shurupak, an area located in southern Iraq. As for the Quran, it is not mentioned exactly where the Prophet Noah's Ark anchored other than on Mount Judy. This is stated in Surah Hud, verse 44. It is said by Allah, "O earth, swallow your water, and O heaven, stop pouring rain." The waters receded, and the business was settled, and the ship docked on Mount Judy and said, "Woe to the wrongdoers." Geographically, Mount Judy is located in southern Armenia and borders Mesopotamia. This hill is near the city of Jadir bin Umar on the east bank of the Tigris River in the province of Mosul, Iraq, which is now the Syrian-Turkish border. Judy Hill is clearly visible from the Ainu Diwar area, Syria, the beginning of the descendants of the prophet Noah. After the Great Flood, the prophet Noah, his wife, and 3 children, Sam, Ham, and Japheth, became survivors who rebuilt human civilization. They landed on Gambling Mountain, and from here they began to spread to various parts of the earth. Sam, known as the ancestors of the Semitic peoples, including Jews and Arabs. Sam is a wise figure and a leader for his descendants. He teaches religious and moral values to his children and grandchildren. The descendants of Sam built a strong empire and developed a deep religious tradition. They became pioneers in the fields of science, art, and philosophy. Many prophets and apostles were born of the Samic lineage, including the prophet Abraham, who became central figures in the 3 major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Some of Sam's famous descendants are Aram, ancestors of the Arameans, who later became the Arabs. Assyrians, the ancestors of the Assyrians, who are famous for their empire. Eber, from Eber we get the term Hebrew. Ham, the descendants of Ham are known as the ancestors of African nations. Ham has a more daring and adventurous character. He explored various regions and established many kingdoms, although there are some accounts that mention that he engaged in uncommendable deeds. The descendants of Ham, despite having many achievements, also faced challenges. Some of them were involved in practices that were not in accordance with the teachings of the prophet Noah. However, there are also those who seek to return to the right path and correct the mistakes of their ancestors. Some of the famous descendants of Ham are Canaan, the ancestors of the Canaanites who lived in the Palestinian territories. Egypt, the ancestors of the ancient Egyptians. Ethiopia, Nenek Moyang Bangsa Ethiopia. Japhets, the descendants of the Japhetes became the ancestors of the nations of Europe and Asia. Japhets is known as an intelligent and innovative figure. He developed various technologies and sciences that became the basis for modern civilization. The descendants of Yafites became pioneers in invention and innovation. They explored the oceans and established colonies in different parts of the world. The descendants of the Yafitites are known as a brave and spirited people, although they are also sometimes caught up in conflicts and wars. Some of the famous descendants of the Yafites are Gomer, the ancestor of the Gomer people, believed to be the ancestor of the Germanic people; Magog, the ancestor of the nation who is often associated with Gog and Magog; Madai, the ancestor of the Medes. Then, who is the Gog and Magog? Gog and Magog are two tribes mentioned in religious texts, especially in the Quran and Hadith. They are often associated with the end times and are considered a symbol of chaos and corruption. Mentioned in Surah Al-Kahfi, 18 verses 83 to 106, and Surah Al-Anbiya, 21 verses 95 to 98. Gog and Magog are creatures of Allah who come out when doomsday. Gog and Magog appeared after the descent of the Dajjal and the prophet Isa, a.r. sex. They killed all the inhabitants of the earth, and then they thrust arrows into the sky to kill the inhabitants of the heavens. They destroy everything around them. If they pass through one lake, then the water of that lake will run out because of their greedy nature. The physical characteristics of Gog and Magog include wide faces, narrow eyes, white hair crests, and the shape of their faces like pottery. In the Islamic tradition, Gog and Magog are two tribes that are known to be very powerful and destructive creatures. They are mentioned in the Quran and Hadith as a symbol of the chaos and destruction that will occur in the last days. Their story began long before the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, and continued until the end of the world. Gog and Magog are believed to be descendants of Japhetes, one of the sons of the Prophet Noah. In tradition, the Yafites are considered the ancestors of the Indo-European nations. Gog and Magog are known for their physical strength and their sheer numbers. They began to spread and wreak havoc on earth, looting and disrupting public peace. Their existence is a threat to humanity. In some interpretations, Gog and Magog are identified with Magog, who is one of the descendants of the Japhetes. Magog is often associated with nomadic tribes living in the north. According to some histories, Gog and Magog lived in isolated areas, often behind walls or mountains. In the Quran, they are mentioned as a tribe confined behind a wall built by Dhul-Qarnayn, a powerful king. In an effort to stop the damage caused by Gog and Magog, the Prophet Moses prayed to Allah to protect his people from the threat. Allah granted the prayer of the Prophet Moses and sent a wise king, Dhul-Qarnayn. Dhul-Qarnayn was a king known for his wisdom and power. He travels to different parts of the world and seeks to uphold justice. On his way, Dhul-Qarnayn heard about the chaos caused by Gog and Magog. He then decided to search for them and stop the damage they were doing. After traveling far, Dhul-Qarnayn found Gog and Magog who lived in the mountainous areas. They lived behind two mountains that are high and difficult to reach. Dhul-Qarnayn saw how numerous they were and how great a threat they posed. Dhul-Qarnayn then decided to build a strong wall to hold Gog and Magog. He ordered his troops to gather the necessary materials, such as iron and copper. With the help of Allah, the wall was built firmly and impenetrable by Gog and Magog. Surah Al-Kahf, 1894-97. In this verse, Dhul-Qarnayn built a wall to keep Gog and Magog from disturbing mankind. These walls are made of iron and copper and can only be destroyed at the time appointed by God. They said, "O Dhul-Qarnayn, indeed Gog and Magog are doing damage on the earth. Do you then want to make for us a way out that we can use?" After the wall was completed, Dhul-Qarnayn announced that Gog and Magog would be imprisoned behind the wall until the time appointed by Allah. Gog and Magog were confined behind walls for centuries. They can't get out and do damage on earth. During this prison period, humanity can live in peace and security. However, Allah has decreed that one day, Gog and Magog will be released. Signs of the apocalypse began to appear, and humanity began to feel the fear of their return. In the Hadith, it is mentioned that when the wall begins to collapse, a rumbling sound will be heard, indicating that Gog and Magog will soon come out. When the appointed time came, the walls built by Dhul-Qarnayn began to show signs of deterioration. Gog and Magog, who had been confined for centuries, finally managed to get out. As soon as they came out, Gog and Magog began to spread to all corners of the earth. They do more damage than ever before, looting, killing, and creating chaos everywhere. Mankind felt deep fear, and many prayed to God for protection. Even the Prophet Isa and the Muslims at that time, narrated in the Sahih Hadith, the Prophet Isa and the Muslims fled to hide to a high place. In many hadiths sourced from the Prophet Saul, there are many mentions of the story of the exit of Gog and Magog. Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, said that on the night he underwent Isra Mi'raj, he was alone with Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Moses, and Prophet Isa. They talked about the day of resurrection, and they asked Ibrahim about it. But Ibrahim replied, I have no knowledge of it. They asked Moses about it, and Moses replied, I have no knowledge of it. Finally, they left the matter to Jesus, and Jesus said, As for the timing, no one knows it but God. But according to what my Lord has promised me, the Dajjal will appear in the future, and in my hand are 2 spears. When the Dajjal sees me, then his body melts like a heated lead. Isa continued his story that Allah destroyed the Dajjal. When the Dajjal saw it, so that the rocks and trees could speak, O Muslims, indeed there is a disbeliever hiding under me, so come here and kill him. Allah destroyed the Dajjal's army. Then people returned to their respective lands and homelands. After that appeared Gog and Magog. They came from all the high places quickly, and then trampled on the land of men. They never go to a place, but they destroy it, and they never pass through the water source, but they drink it until it dries up. In the Quran, Surah Al-Anbiya, 95-96, Allah says, Indeed, it is impossible for a country that we have destroyed that they will not return, until when it is opened, wall Gog and Magog, and they descended rapidly from all the high places. And the coming of the true promise, the day of resurrection, is near, and suddenly the eyes of the disbelievers are widened. They said, Woe to us! Indeed, we are in negligence about this. Even we are the wrongdoers. The Prophet Isa continued his story. After that, people returned to their respective countries, hiding to avoid the evils of Gog and Magog. They complained to me about the evil of Gog and Magog, so I prayed to Allah for the destruction of Gog and Magog. In this very difficult situation, God sent his help. In some narrations, it is stated that Allah sent a deadly disease to Gog and Magog. Finally, Allah destroyed and eradicated them so that the earth was heavily polluted because of their carcasses, which smelled very bad. Then Allah sent down a heavy rain that swept away all their carcasses and washed them into the sea. Thank you for watching our journey today in unraveling the mystery of Gog and Magog and their connection to the Prophet Noah. Hopefully, the information we present can add insight and understanding to the stories that shape the history of mankind. If you have any opinions or questions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.